Skinner on the radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alun Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, and email the show via the Absolute Radio website. When will the novelty of Instagram wear off for me? I've never actually been on Instagram.
Right.
Are you not, Frank?
But just saying it. No,
You're
of course
on it a
I
lot.
haven't.
Some lovely pictures of you on there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hello?
It's Esmeralda. She loves me.
It's not lunch already, is it? We've been working out on the ranch all day. It's been pretty dusty out there. Sounds like Suzanne's got dinner ready.
Suzanne.
Oh, man. What was that? Weird.
That was the...
That was my witch's cauldron.
that was the cameras.
Oh, it's just been brought in.
Yeah.
What about when my partner broke her toe running across wet grass at midnight
Yeah.
on a yoga retreat
Yeah.
because she kicked an upturned cauldron?
Oh.
I mean, that was the best reason for injury to be written on a medical form ever.
Exactly. Surely there's some sort of cult involved in that anecdote. Anyway. And the people couldn't hear her cries, screaming in pain. They couldn't hear her because they were chanting in a nearby room. Welcome to modern Britain, ladies and gentlemen. It's not so bad.
No, it's good.
Well, no, sometimes it's terrible, let's face it.
Some of it's good, though.
Most of it's
not
good.
throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say.
No, we don't want to do that.
I've done my Friday night trawl. You know, the moment on a Saturday morning.
I dream of it.
I look through the emails that we receive on Friday night. Often people think that I come in on a Friday night to do my Friday night trawl.
Yeah, people think you're absolute based every Friday.
Committed to the show though I am. I mean, I'm still a working, bookable comedian.
Yeah.
Busy on Friday night.
Oh, sorry, I left space then for an email address. But it didn't come.
I've had a look, and we've had an email entitled Magazine Costs.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm already interested. Hi.
Is it from the National Rifle Association?
I have recently seen 2 adverts for magazines which provide the parts for models to be made. You've got a big
big
affection for these, haven't you?
This is the most frank bit of correspondence ever.
No, I do. I love those.
What was the one you liked, Frank? I was just actually out. Let's let you I'm going to let you finish.
I've done a few in my time. I did Book of Football. I did The Game.
You completed these?
I completed them, the part one.
Okay, now you're getting boastful.
Yeah, and I did The Story of Pop, which was all about fizzy drinks through the ages. That would have been.
Where did that end? Glimpse of stocking.
But best of all, I saw one which I didn't. You know, now they often have a free thing with them, not just a magazine. So there's the Doctor Who figurine magazine, which you get the figurine and then you get a magazine telling you all about that character.
Oh, great.
But right, I'm going to get you on now. The best one I ever saw was Victorian delivery vehicle.
Oh, yes.
Which was you got a model Victorian delivery vehicle and then you got a magazine telling you about the history of it. I mean, that's...
Well, hold your horses.
That's at the sharp end.
This may change your perspective on these
They didn't all
things.
have horses.
Very good. So they've seen 2 adverts for magazines that provide these parts. The first is a Terminator complete in 120 parts. Each issue is £8.99, with the first one at £1.99.
Yeah.
That's
how they get you.
That's how they get you. The second is the Bismarck, again costing £8.99 per issue, with £1.99 for the first issue. The prices, therefore, for completing the models are £1,251.60 and £1,071.80, respectively. Good use of respectively.
You sound like they sound like my mum. I only ever took my mum out for a meal once, and it was like a cheap, and we had no money, love. And we went, it was like a cheap and cheerful pie and chips type of thing.
Where was it? In Birmingham, was it?
It was in Coventry. That's where we went out for a meal because she was visiting me at Warwick University where I was residing. And I sat her down and she said, Well, you could. I mean, I could have got a loaf of bread for that much, and then I could have got some. I could have got the whole thing. I could have bought all this and made it ourselves for about 70 pence, and here we are paying £2.40 for it. You know what I mean? It's not the part work; it's the excitement every week. The magazine, the little bit of the Bismarck. It was sunk, wasn't it? The Bismarck.
I believe so.
So if you didn't finish it, as long as you make sure the tank has got relatively cloudy water, it covers a multitude. There must have been some damage to the Bismarck before it went down.
Oh, they'll tell us.
Of course they'll do that.
Well, that's what the book's for.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Read all about it.
What about when I was doing a gig in Belfast and I bought a magazine of the Titanic Society, because it was built in Belfast.
It was.
The Titanic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And the Titanic Society, like a local historical group. So it was a magazine. I'd say it was about 40 pages. I don't know why I bought it, but I was probably looking for material.
Yeah.
Anyway, I read it through. There was an interview with the captain's niece and something about the bloke who made the plates for the restaurant. There was not one reference in the whole magazine to the fact that it sunk.
In a way, admirable respect to the spoiler alert.
Yeah, but there's elephants in the room. There was a herd.
That's
there was
quite
an
an
actual
elephant.
herd of elephants in the room.
I don't know. People get really triggered about spoiler alerts. I got told off for spoiling the Gruffalo last week, so I suppose, the spoiler alert for the Titanic is a big one.
Yeah, you're right. I don't feel so bad about it. And what about the Bismarck, though? I bet there's a lot of people building the Bismarck now saying, what? What happened to it?
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Hey, I've got something I'd like to ask you. We sometimes get emails through and texts.
Stop showing off.
Lovely as it is to hear from them. Sometimes I'll go through and I'll see the odd one saying, please can you play, for example, Starship, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. Okay. Now, here's my question to you. Why do people still need the DJ to access the music? Because presumably the point of it was that you'd suddenly be sitting there, I don't know, and you might think, I really fancy hearing I Could Be So Good For You.
Yeah.
It's 9 o'clock at night.
I don't own it.
I don't own it. I don't own the cassette of it.
Yeah.
What do? I'll call into the DJ.
It won't be on dial-a-disc.
No.
192.
Was it? No, what was it? That's directories.
I don't remember what number it was. It used to be able, at one time, you could go to a public phone box and dial a 3-figure number.
Or use your home phone.
And you would get a randomly selected chart song that you could then stand in the phone box and listen to on the phone.
I mean, I would sit in my parents' bedroom, in fairness, but similarly...
so we didn't have a phone. I forgot people had phones in their own homes.
They sound like sort of Donald Trump because they had a landline.
I wouldn't have wanted that. I couldn't cope with the smell of urine in my own house.
But you would, Al. You would sit there and just listen to the song. I remember listening to Stray Cat Strut for hours.
It always seemed to be Slade when I was calling it, but that's probably,
I saw you coming.
It was that era. Slade dominated the charts.
So, do you see my point, boys? It's essentially now, presumably, most people have access to some sort of music streaming service. I mean, am I doing us out of a job here?
Yeah.
I should say.
Well,
yes and yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm still playing my own choices. Not everyone are getting on Spotify. That's one good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I suppose not everyone's on Spotify, but YouTube and all that. Yeah, why not just put that on?
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit like the part work thing. It's just being part of something bigger, feeling that we're part of something bigger.
Yes.
Now that religion has faded somewhat in this country, people want to feel like they're part of some sort of bigger system.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
You
that's
didn't think we were going to go there, and I liked it.
So they've been replaced by part works. The thing is, my son collects match attacks, which are these football cards.
Yes.
And I realised that this happened when he had the Panini World Cup stickers as well, that there are mums all over England on the internet saying things like, have you got Mohamed Salah 100 Club? And so like a really quite high hardcore knowledge of Premier League players.
Yes.
I wonder
And
if
they're
I
all
can-
mums. And I don't think there's any dads
Well, I
doing
think
it.
Kathy was talking to me about Deli Alley. I was like, what do you know about this?
I know.
Loves it.
Kathy's my partner.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Well,
Kath.
I don't
She
know.
normally gets called Kath.
Kath, I call it. From when Max Wall used to be in Crossroads. Kath. No, they're Kath. Yeah, I think that's where it comes from. Sorry, we've lost a lot of our younger listeners, and we only had 4. So that's a bit of a blow. Who would you say our youngest listener? Oh, someone will say is, Nathan, who's born on Tuesday. Oh, yes.
No, sometimes we
Don't
do
come
get...
spreading your business. I'm sorry.
Sometimes we do get... We've had I think we had a 14-year-old boy who enjoyed the show.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. See, we'll be talking about
What?
dial-a-disc. Google must be on fire with things like dial-a-disc. Do you think you could Google dial-a-disc?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Well, it's
you'd
an easy
probably
way
find
to...
out
I can think of a
about
way of
what it was.
finding out. Yeah.
How? We'll try it. We just need a moment. Oh, I've got an idea.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in from reader 733. Good morning, all. Conscious of how keen you are to be accurate, and we are, with your information, I recall last week you referred to a lieutenant, and Emily pronounced it as lieutenant instead
No, I
of
said
lieutenant.
lieutenant, didn't I?
Oh, maybe it was me. Just thought I'd keep you on the straight and narrow. Kind regards, the Colonel, pronounced Colonel.
Is she an actual colonel?
Sounds that way.
We're supposed to say what?
Do you know?
We're supposed to say lieutenant.
Lieutenant, 'cause
I
we're
always
Brits.
thought you were meant to say lieutenant, but
Okay, here's the thing. Lieutenant is an Americanism.
okay.
Lieutenant is the British way, I believe.
Ah.
Hence the colonel leading us in that
I
direction.
don't say it that much.
No, it's not one of those that
Well.
comes up.
Well, your
Lieutenant
social
Bishop.
life is very different to mine. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thomas Sideway, Al, has been in touch.
Has he?
Frank was saying we don't get the younger listeners.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Tom says, my 11-year-old and 8-year-old are absolutely affronted that you said you have no young fans.
Well, I'm terribly sorry, guys. Well, I say guys, they could be... but you can't say guys and gals anymore, or your
No.
radio career's in tatters.
Well, even
So I'm
those
just going to have to generalise.
youngsters are going to feel old just in a second. 'cause
What, Nathan, who was born on Tuesday?
We've had an email in. Hi, FA and TDME.
Is that what? Tedium?
How dare you?
Is it the darling Miss, the divine, Miss Emily?
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but my 3.5-year-old boy Alex is not your youngest listener. He asked if this was Dave Berry, and when I said no, it was you. He burst into tears, demanding I put Dave Berry on. I guess he could be your youngest critic.
Yeah.
Long time, blah blah blah. They say.
It's good we've established Dave Berry's audience.
Yeah,
How old is he again?
3.5.
There you go.
You've taken a real positive spin from that. I was worried momentarily.
He's come a long way since he had that hit with the crying game, Dave Berry. Well, we listened to Dave Berry in our house, can I say that?
Yeah.
Have we? Oh,
Yeah. I
fabulous.
look forward to seeing us mentioned on the radios.
Stephen Bella's got in touch as well, just to say that
Stephen Bell, he used to do cartoons for The Guardian.
I don't know,
Oh,
but he tried out a joke. You made a joke last week. We got in reference. The email is called Re Samuel Pepys.
Oh
Okay.
yes.
Do you remember? You made a reference to Samuel Pepys.
I think it was probably
Never getting
Samuel
changed
Pepys.
around the above gentleman's house again.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yes.
Samuel Pepys.
Is he peeps. Well, I laughed and I decided to share the joy with my
I
friends.
say share the joy. I think you mean steal the joke.
Okay, stole the joke. I can report that the joke failed miserably. Is it time for me to change my friends?
Well, it depends. I mean, if are they English speakers? That's the first thing.
I love that's where Frank's mind goes, Al. If someone doesn't get his joke, they actually are incapable of communicating in his language.
But a joke is like I think it's like when you give the motorcyclists the blood that's been rushed across town. You've given them the blood and it's
Yeah.
all good and you've done your bit. But whether that bloke delivers it is, it's out of your hands.
gone.
And I think
You're
that-
speaking you as the
I'm the
blood
person-
donor.
Yeah,
The
no, well,
joke teller.
I'm
You're the blood donor.
I'm not only the blood donor, I put it in a bottle, I package it up nicely, I've tested it, it's all absolutely fine.
In the footballer's tent.
It's on the back of this bloke's moped, we don't know what happened next.
Yeah.
All we know is that the patient died by the sounds of it. It doesn't sound like it's my fault, that's from that evidence. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, caller.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Surely not. There must be some mistake.
I was reading the popular Roman Catholic journal, The Tablet,
Oh, yes.
this week, you know it.
In what format?
Oh, yeah, a hard copy.
He doesn't read tablet
He doesn't
on
read it
tablet.
on the tablet.
No, no.
No,
That's just a nice synergy I would have liked about your life. But anyway, continue, eh?
There was an interesting quote from James Taylor, the musician,
Oh, yeah.
who I'm going to see this summer at Hyde Park.
You got a friend?
He's doing a. I am going with a friend. I am. Him and Bob Dylan are doing a. Well, I don't. I'll be straight with you. I don't know.
Wish you'd flag that bit off.
I don't know the work of James Taylor very well at all, but Bob Dylan is at the core of my musical universe.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, so in this, there's a little bit about a James Taylor gig, and James Taylor was on stage playing, and you know this happened. We've all seen this at gigs. There's a slight dip, a slight silence in the proceedings, and someone shouted, "I love you, James."
Yeah.
You know, that happens at
Seen
these
that,
gigs.
yeah.
And usually there's a bit of a laugh and they go, thanks very much and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So someone shouted, "I love you, James." And James Taylor said, "Oh, yeah? What makes me sad?" Which I thought as heckle comebacks go. I mean,
Wowee.
yeah, that's a good one, isn't it?
I mean, that's profound.
I mean, I'm presuming that he meant, you
You
don't know
the
me
real
well.
me.
You don't
People who
know
love me know
know
what
me
makes me
deeply
sad.
enough. Yeah.
And he's absolutely correct, of course.
I mean, having said that, I love my partner. Do I know what makes us? I know what makes her furious.
Right, yeah. That's
But
often easier to
I-
identify that.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I'm not going through.
Busby.
I'm not going through in that particular list. Busby.
Yes.
Well done.
Okay, we got there.
Well
Frank, do you
done.
want to explain what that was?
Well, yeah, it was the sort of thing we
It's
try
what
and
makes
avoid.
James Taylor sad.
Yeah,
Busby.
that's what makes him sad. Yeah, it was the death of Sir Matt Busby. He's never got over it. No, it's Busby. We were trying to remember the name of the bird that advertised phone services.
Yes.
A cartoon bird voiced by, I think, Bernard Cribbins.
Bernard.
No, I once,
Death of a salesman.
I
Pronounced
once,
that way. Huh?
I once heard an American director interviewed on the telly, and they asked him the best actors he'd worked with, and he said, like, really obvious ones, like, I worked with Henry Fonda. He's a great actor, very much centred, very much belief in the part and all that. And he said, and then your own English actor, Bernard Cribbins, I worked with, a fantastic actor. I thought, well, I did not see him coming up on the list. But yeah, I always think of him now as Bernard Cribbins. And there was also a documentary once about Bernard Manning trying his hand at Las Vegas.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And he was interviewed on the radio
He
in
didn't
America.
get Bernard, did he?
No, he did. The DJ called him Bernard. He said, "We have Bernard Manning." Which is, what I love about it is it's just $2,000 for Bernard Manning. $2,000 for Bernard Manning. Sorry, I was just reading from my
Spotlight.
my list of bookings. They're a little out of date. Okay, so I don't know how we got to that, but so that's
Busby.
James Taylor.
What makes me
We got
sad?
there via Busby, Frank.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, what
exactly.
makes me sad?
But we remembered Busby in the midst of it. So it's a strange juxtaposition of differing themes.
Quite eerie if they'd replied and got it exactly right with whatever it is that does make him sad. That would have been
Oh, yeah, if someone
proper
had said
fandom.
that. Yeah, if they'd have shouted, "People shouting, I love you, James." And he'd have said, not annoyed, sad. And then he'd have had a big pause where everyone had to think about it and to guesses. Like an hour of guesses in the middle of the gig. Awful. Awful.
Too much bread.
Yeah. No. Close.
Incorrect.
I'll give you a clue. Right? It doesn't happen in this country. Okay, carry on. Jay, play some music. Just a minute. You brought it up. We didn't actually bring up the sad thing. Well, you brought up the love thing and that led me into it. Next guess. James, very strict tonight. I heard that.
Frank Skinner on the radio.
So James Taylor and the heckle response
Yes.
then went on to remind me of a very fine story. We don't talk about music enough on this show. Well,
No.
I love to talk about music. It's one of my favourite things. And I was watching a big compilation thing about...
That sounded like you were on a date, if you don't mind me saying. You're trying to impress. I mean, the thing about me is I
No, I'll
love
tell
to
you what
talk
the
about
problem is,
music.
and I don't want to get technical, but this show happens on all the other channels, the decade channels, Absolute 80s,
we're
Absolute
across
90s,
several
and Absolute.
platforms.
So we're on several platforms, exactly.
We're across them.
So we can't refer back to the songs, really, because we used to have long conversations about the songs we play, but
No.
obviously we haven't always played it on that particular channel.
Yeah.
If you receive my meaning.
Yeah.
And I was watching this documentary about the old grey whistle test. Okay.
I remember that.
And
Laughing at that funny noise you just made. Sometimes funny
bang.
noises really set me
The
off.
old grey whistle test, because I had one of my... If you remember when I was a child... I'm sorry to open another tab just briefly.
That's okay.
But Lou Reed was one of the people I was... That was like
Oh.
my equivalent of Fungus the Bogeyman. That was
You
the
were scared
Bogeyman
of
for
a
me.
poster
I
of
was
him or a... Is
terrified.
that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an album.
Lovely.
All right,
had.
yes.
So it was Lou Reed was the man in the wardrobe, as it were, and
Yeah.
then the other one was there was a figure and the credits of the old grey whistle
We used
test.
to kick a star.
Oh, don't! It makes me so terrified. It was made out of what was it? Little white dots or something?
Yeah, well, it was sort of a constellation.
Oh, it was horrible.
And he used to kick a star.
Anyway,
Anyway, so it used to be hosted by Whispering Bob Harris, as he was known. He used to would say, "I've just been over on the West Coast talking to James Taylor." He used to open a lot of stuff like that. And he used to have like one of those blokes in the 70s who had flared sleeves,
Yes.
as well as trousers. Who was the other? Would you say, by the way, public figure whose name was often preceded by the word whispering?
oh, was there one?
I'm saying Ted Lowe, the snooker.
Oh, very
yes.
good. Very
A
good.
game of chess played on the green baize. Anyway, so this I thought was the most Bob Harris Whispering Bob. Bear in mind, Whispering Bob Harris was a kind of a hippie guy who presented music shows, and he used to say when Roxy Music was on, he said, "Roxy Music, there." A little bit too electric for me. That's sort of I actually pulled him up about it. I met him once. And
He
said,
wandered into critique.
yeah, and he said, yeah, people often mention that. Oh, really?
Do they?
Anyway, he told an anecdote which I thought was the most Bob Harris anecdote you could possibly have. But I'm afraid we're going to have to hold it because we've got certain obligations. But
Leave them hanging on the Bob Harris.
I'll be back with
anecdote.
the best whispering Bob Harris, and perhaps the most apposite Bob Harris anecdote you could possibly have after this.
Frank Skinner on the radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alun Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram. Or see if you say it fast, it's hard to say. Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Twitter and Instagram.
I think you want a comma after Twitter.
I think I've just discovered a new tongue twister.
Oh, yeah.
Because let's face it, we're sick to the high teeth of red leather, yellow leather, and round the rugged
Are we?
rocks.
And
Yeah.
pheasant. That
And
one.
Well, you are in your
We won't do it.
community.
Enough is
The rest of us don't go around talking about leather all day.
No, that's true. Twitter and Instagram. Oh, it's
really
if you
not
can say
that.
that 5 times fast, you're in business. At Frank on the radio. What's that to do with anything? It's the Twitter and Instagram thing. And you can email the show via the Absolute Radio website. I mean, I feel like I've climbed over broken glass.
Yeah,
Slick, I thought.
Thanks very much. And an oil slick.
I didn't.
You had set up a tease of a whispering Bob Harris anecdote.
Yes.
I don't know about the rest of it.
Here on commercial radio in 2019.
Yeah, but
I don't know about the rest of the country, Al, but I'm expiring with curiosity.
Tenterhooks.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
Over to Frank.
yeah. So Bob Harris, like I say, it was the acme of that kind of James Taylor, and I love this kind of music. He's when punk happened, he was seen as a kind of an enemy of the punk people because he represented all that kind of hippiedom, and they sort of didn't like hippies and things like that.
Is that why it was called NME? Because it was a pun as well.
Of enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just got that. Sorry.
I don't know if it started like that.
Okay.
though.
Anyway,
But
sorry, as you were.
But when Johnny Rotten says, was it "We love the enemy" or something like that, you're never quite sure whether he's saying enemy or enemy.
Okay.
Right.
As you were.
Yeah. So he said I was in a pub last night. One night I was just having a brown ale, and suddenly these punks appeared and surrounded me, and I was actually quite frightened. They were saying some pretty nasty stuff, and it looked pretty bad. I thought I might actually get hurt, and I thought, wow, if you wanted to say, how is Bob Harris going to get out of this situation? He said, luckily, these big guys came over and pushed these punks out the way and got me out of there. They completely saved me from a real good beating. And they were big guys, and the punks couldn't handle them. And I said, thank you so much. Turned out they were the Procol Harum Road Crew. It's the most Bob Harris ending you could ever have. The Procol Harum Road Crew.
Oh, dear. Which would have been a great band name in itself.
Yes.
Yeah, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Just, if you don't mind me
Oh,
calling
Bob.
you Just.
Oh, Bob.
So what about,
Yes.
speaking of heckles and Hyde Park
Sure.
gigs with Bob Dylan and James Taylor, this thing which I might have mentioned to you before, that people used to take harmonicas to Bob Dylan gigs.
Well, that must have sounded nice.
And play along with him when he played. So Bob would go into one of his... and Bob has played the harmonica since the early 60s and never completely...
Mastered it.
No. Never.
I think that's why people are taking their harmonicas as a sort of a tutor role.
I think that's it. Because you
Sort of
see...
gentle guide.
Like the person that drops off in the long distance running, like a sort of a pacemaker.
I think it's to do with feeling that you're all right in that company. Like when me and David
Yes.
Baddiel sing Three Lions, I think people think, yeah, we'll sing along with these guys.
Right.
That's happy.
Well, that's
Whereas
what-
if
yeah.
Dame Kiri
Tukanawa, darling.
Tukanawa, if she
Bless you.
starts to sing song, you're not going to think, yeah, I'm going with this. Woo! Freddie Mercury, he did it with, what
Yeah.
was that one called?
That was
Barcelona.
with Montserrat Caballé.
Montserrat Caballé, yeah.
Oh.
But generally, you feel intimidated by a good
Yeah.
singer, but we were all right. And I think when Bob got the harmonica out, people thought, we'll do this, won't we?
Yeah.
We'll be all right with this. We won't look out of place.
I like to think of it as a sort of, you know, those mass wedding ceremonies they sometimes do in certain. I won't use the C word, as in. Well, I will use it. Cult, but you know, certain.
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think this is a little like a mass tuition session.
That'd be a good whatever happened to, wouldn't it, the Moonies? Never. What happened to them? Never hear them anymore.
You'd always see the photographs, wouldn't you? And you'd only ever
Mass
see them on
wedding.
the wedding days.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know
Okay.
what they did with the rest of the time.
They
we
just got
don't-
married.
We just don't know.
Fabulous.
But anyway, yeah, so I don't know. It's no different from a sing-along, really, I suppose, taking your heart. Could you take any old instrument?
Well, it is. I mean, it's cacophonous.
Could you turn up at an Eric Clapton gig and take a guitar with me?
Well, no, because you had an experience with him, so
It was all lovely, I
I
think.
know. No, it was a nice experience.
I mean, imagine turning up at a Little Mix gig and you're the only one playing live. That'd be awkward.
Orcs.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Absolute Radio.
Frank, you mentioned Little Mix.
I did.
And I don't know...
I did.
I was going to say, did you catch the Brits? Now, normally you're our man at the Brits.
Yes, I wasn't this year, I'm afraid to say. I was on a family holiday.
Okay, sounds a bit Tory MP,
So
with
I
some
left-
weird excuse.
I left to spend more time with my
My
family.
family, quite.
Yeah. I saw Little Mix, I have to say. Did you see their performance?
Well, we should, if readers don't, some readers may not be aware, you experienced something of it was a sort of road to Damascus. I don't know, you had a real epiphany with them, didn't
wow.
you?
Well, I mean, it was temporary.
Okay, because
Oh, was it?
what he said, Frank, when he went to the Brits was, Frank, Little Mix.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Because they put on a fantastic show. So I watched them the other night, and they came out in pink Macintoshes, and I thought, respect to you, because there's so many people here, mainly women, it has to be said, who feel that, regardless of any talent, they have to come out with next to no clothes on. Respect to you. In the past, you
Wearing the
faltered.
Macs.
In the past, you felt that pressure, but now you're just going to wear nice big Macs and relax and be yourselves. And then I thought, off came the Macs.
They're coming
and of
off.
course, they were in pink
Next to
plastic
Nouts.
suspenders.
Or were they?
Oh, come on, girls, you're better than that. Yeah, anyway, so...
But people are worried that they're not because they didn't sing their songs. Is that right?
well, I think there's a theory that they mimed. I don't know if it's been confirmed.
I'll tell you what I think happened. My personal observation was that felt like they were miming. I think that's the suggestion, is that they were miming to a previous live performance track. Okay?
Well,
Well, that hardly qualifies. You'd think Little Mix, of all people, at least the people who come through the reality shows, when they had to sing live every week under pressure. I don't mean that they sang under pressure.
No.
But
But
only a few weeks ago we discussed Little Mix because they had leaked that they practiced their loser face for awards dues, don't
That's
they?
right.
And
Yeah.
I said, surely there's an opportunity cost when they... When they're practicing that, they're not practicing their songs and dances.
Yeah, well, it turns out they
And
didn't
now
need to practice them.
We've found out how they freed up that time for rehearsing their loser face.
It's always
Maybe just do the songs.
it's always disappointing when they're miming. I mean, imagine Al doing a stand-up gig and miming it.
what does Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Perry's
I've
boyfriend,
done-
think of it all? He performs live on a weekly
He
basis.
does.
I've done stand-up gigs when the audience have been miming, and we forgot the track.
Oh, yeah.
But
Have you done those gigs in weird layout rooms where you can't hear them laughing, but you can sort of see them laughing? I think
that's invented by
It
comedians.
isn't.
That hasn't gone well.
I did an event in the Turbine Hall once. I had to
Oh,
just
yes.
say the words and assume that they were laughing because all the laughter was sort of disappearing before it got to me. Tough.
But I believe if you assume, you make an ass out of Uma Thurman.
Yes.
Can I tell you who did do well at the Brits in
Who?
terms of performance?
Oh, yeah.
Hugh Jackman. Who knew?
Did he?
Well,
Everyone knew.
did he?
Is he the greatest
he
showman?
He was
I'm
the
not
greatest
sure.
showman. They said people called it the best opening performance ever. Frank Skinner, Alan Cochrane.
Bit awkward.
at the
Frank's in the
Brits.
room.
I didn't do an opening performance. I wish I had. You don't know how close I was. You know that that fateful night I did the Brits? You know,
Yeah.
have I ever told
Yes,
you?
I do know that. We're going to talk about that.
I intended
Oh, no.
starting as Jerry Halliwell. I'd had a dress made, a Union Jack dress made,
Oh,
the
really?
ginger wig and everything. At the very last minute, I thought, no, actually, I'm not going to do this.
I'm quite glad you did.
Oh, that I think it went bad enough as it was, but it would have gone bad with trimmings.
Do you know what's awful, Frank? You know, I always have a mental picture of you, which is lovely in your case, and it's you walking over Waterloo Bridge when I think of you, with your coat coat collar up against you, a bit Samuel Beckett. I think my worry is that everyone's mental picture of you would have been you dressed as Jerry Halliwell forever.
I think that's right.
Weirdly, it's mine anyway, but that's just a by the by.
Yeah.
That's just your thing.
No, so I'd had the dress made and everything, but it was for the best. I think. I think I damage limitation. That's what it's all about.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were discussing the Brits before, and Hugh Jackman's opening for the Greatest Showman. Is this film called The Greatest Showman? It is called The Greatest.
Is it
Because that's
all
one of the
right?
many films.
Is it all right?
Is he all right, Hugh Jackman?
In what sense?
He didn't look well to me. You know,
Didn't
when
he?
people lost a lot of weight round the face.
Oh, I can't imagine who, Frank.
Ugh, I didn't look right to me.
I always feel with film stars like him that it's dependent upon role, because if he's playing Wolverine, obviously he needs to be huge, jacked man.
I like you two deciding whether
Huge
Hugh Jackman
jacked
looks all right.
man.
Trust me, he's fine. Okay.
But then he ends up sort of a bit more shredded and smaller.
Tickets to the gun show
for a different
not
film.
available.
I'm talking about, is he ill?
Yeah,
Sort of
I get
asking.
that.
Oh,
I get
I mean,
that.
please leave the man alone.
But I felt
It's
like
all right
Greatest
to act. I'm
Showman.
concerned about his health.
I felt like Greatest Showman was one of the many films that felt like, for me, it could have had a question mark at the end of the title.
Oh.
You know, I've said this before. There are many films: Law-abiding citizen? Question mark. Safe House?
Yeah.
Question mark. Because they're often
Yeah.
not.
You know that book?
Very good point,
You know
Al.
that
Title
book?
makes it sound like they are going to be.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that book, The Long Firm?
yeah.
I always thought there must be a word missing off the end.
Yeah. It's not a title.
Look, I'm looking around the book for the. I thought perhaps I can't put the word on the front. No,
Listen.
I can honestly say I wouldn't say I hated the opening sequence, but I disliked it.
I didn't like
look,
the film.
On
Greatest Showman.
heart. I'm going to get
Okay.
a T-shirt that says on the front of the picture of the heart and say I on heart.
Okay, you two have spoken.
the
I'm
opening
coming in like Simon Cowell at the end. Well, look, I would say Hugh Jackman himself, okay.
Yeah.
You know, undeniably talented gentleman. However, circuses I find very depressing. The whole concept of them, I'm afraid.
Oh, wow.
People taking off makeup in caravans, I just can't bear it.
Well, I've seen that many times.
Well, now, you know you're doing a live show soon. If someone shouts out, I love you, Emily, and you say, well, what makes me sad? They could go, circuses.
What?
We know, you told us on the radio last week.
I have to speak up for circus. I love circuses.
I know.
Are they circi?
I know you do, but what
and
about
that's
the
why
temporary nature of them?
But that's what's great.
Oh,
That's what's
well, you
great.
didn't have such a peripatetic childhood.
I took
anyway,
a
Strong
photograph once at Zippo
Great
Circus.
vocab.
I took a photo backstage, and it was a wheelbarrow full of horse excrement underneath a big illuminated star. And I thought, this is show business.
do you know the most depressing song in the whole world to me is "There's No Business Like Show"? Because I just imagine people singing that in a circus and it just being damp and
Oh, yeah.
I can't.
So I think I go to the circus quite a lot, and
I know you do.
Can I say I love it?
Yeah.
And what angered
I've
me
been.
about the opening sequence, it was
Anger?
It
He was-
was
Anger.
yeah, it was circus.
What makes you angry?
I thought it was circus for people who hate circus.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was circus light.
Mm-hmm.
It was, worst of all, circus that doesn't smell. And if a circus doesn't smell,
Yeah.
it ain't no damn circus in my book.
Yeah. Good
So
rule.
I thought the whole thing was, we don't want to give you real. It's like, remember that Crouching Tiger,
Hidden Dragon.
whatever that, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like kung fu films for middle class people.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And that's what this was. I thought, don't worry, it's not going to be dirty. It's all like people are
Mm-hmm.
hanging on lovely linen, and all the girls are very attractive, and
So
it's going
you're
to be
saying
Hugh
it-
Jackman.
Oh, it was too affluent, that circus, for you.
I think it was the antithesis of what. There's some very dark. Have you ever read Something Wicked This Way Comes about the carnival arriving in town? It gives you that sense of there's something a bit weird and a bit dark and a bit scary about the circus. There was nothing. Whereas Hugh Jackman, it's like when Will Smith did hip hop.
It's not a national theatre play, though, to be fair. Come on, there's entertainment these people are doing.
Well, I'm sure there's be lots of people who go to theatre school who love to go and see it. I won't be there. Good night. No, we're not going. I just thought it felt like it needed one of those. Turns out it was the Procol Harum Road Crew.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Surely not. There must be some mistake.
212 has asked if the comedic equivalent of playing the harmonica at a Bob Dylan concert is heckling. I think it depends on the calibre of the comic, maybe.
Also, I think there's something about help. There's an element of helping with the people who play harmonica to Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Of course, Bob Dylan did get one of the most famous
That's
hecklers
right.
of all time, which I think was at Manchester Free Trade Hall when somebody shouted, "Judas!"
That's right.
He had just come in, to be fair. Judas, we're over here. I told you not to use my name, public. He had a lot of bad press. Anyway,
That was another live gig that was reviewed in tablets, wasn't it?
It was. I tell you, there was an interview. I thought Jack Whitehall he said a lot of funny things, but not many people in the hall seemed to notice, which is what the Brits is basically all about.
Pearls before swine.
People talking and watching back the videos they've just done of 1975 or whatever. And
Tough crowd.
And for some
They
reason,
are a
people
tough crowd.
talking quite a lot. I don't know why that is. Anyway,
yeah.
I don't shut up for some reason. You don't want to say a lot.
They do seem to get extraordinarily chatty.
Stay up late as
I
well.
think they might be narcissists.
But there was a sick when he was doing some quite good material to camera, and behind him you could see a crowd of people all just talking and laughing amongst themselves while he was
Wow.
doing material. It's like when you knock on someone opens the door at a party and you're talking to them. It's like that. It's all going on in the background, except he was supposed to be. I felt for him, but he's good at it. I think they've finally found he's probably the first person who has hosted the Brits well. I would say that.
Good.
But there was an interview that he did with.
Do you know what?
What?
That's very big of you.
That's okay.
Okay.
I mean, he's the right sort of person. Because, as well as being funny, I think looks and currentness is very important to the Brits.
Oh, it's a Whitehall loving.
So, Shawn Mendes was interviewed by Jack Whitehall.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know Shawn Mendes' work.
Okay.
I'm sure I'd hate it. I don't even know what he does, but I just knew. No, I'm not hate it, but I don't think me and him
Strong dislike.
we're on the same. No, I don't have anything
I
against
can't
his human
see
spirit.
you going to one of your sort of Doctor Who screenings.
I don't know what he is.
With
He's
him.
a singer, is he, Shawn Mendes?
Yeah,
he?
I believe so.
God bless him. Anyway,
If anyone's ever said that about him before.
Jack Whitehall said, "No, I wanted to talk about your underwear
Did he?
adverts." And
Oh,
Shawn
yes, he did.
Mendes said,
Tell them.
"Oh, I knew this was going to happen." And I thought, it's almost impossible to imagine a way you could have avoided it. Oh, I know. You could have not done any really well-paid underpants adverts.
Well,
Yeah.
Shawn would have gone, "Oh, God, if only someone had said that to me at the time, but now it's too late."
well, you
The
see,
genie's out the bottle, so to speak.
Is it?
this is what
Well, it was certainly near the top.
this is the difference between him and Gandhi. David,
Yes.
not Mahatma.
Oh, I thought you meant Mahatma.
Oh.
No, David
Mahatma.
Gandhi says, when you say to him, what do you feel about being objectified? He says, I'm on a billboard in my pants. I can't really complain about that.
That's
Well,
a good
exactly.
point.
Love
That is
Gandhi.
a good
But see, if
point.
Jack Whitehall had ever interviewed Gandhi, which I have to say, as much as I like Jack Whitehall, would have been a miscasting.
Possibly.
And he'd have said, "Well, what about your underpants adverts?" And Gandhi would have said, "No, actually, that's like a traditional dress thing." I mean, how awkward
Yeah.
would that? How awkward. And
Oh.
Jack Whitehall said, "I've got it as my screensaver." No, that's me in my traditional. I mean, you've got.
Really
Sorry,
good friends.
I'm not making it up. You've got
Yeah.
this
He
completely
Could have-
wrong, Jack.
They could have become mates.
Yeah, but it
Dear
would have
friend,
been.
I'm writing to you today for the sake of humanity.
But it would have been an awkward moment, him having to explain the outfit. Oh dear,
Yeah.
poor
But
Jack.
he had real.
Poor Barpoo.
Is your
That's what he was called, wasn't it?
know.
I think I'm a big enough fan to go into pet name.
Fan. Gandhi fan. Scandi fan.
Oh, now someone will text in and say, yeah, well, actually, he was a really bad, because it's like,
Yeah,
Well, I like
there's a
Al.
couple
Your
of things.
hobbies, Gandhi.
yeah.
Interest.
Anyway, let's put that on the shelf and we'll move on. Because I find that love is like candy on a shelf.
Frank Skinner on the radio.
We were talking about the
Brits.
what used to be the Britannia Award.
Britannia Award.
Did it?
Yeah.
Of course, you couldn't call it that now, could you? Hey?
Did ye see Calvin Harris? He's
I,
a changed man. I mean, he was the pale Scottish man of yesteryear.
I've got a Calvin Harris this morning. Carry on.
Oh, he's changed. I mean, he's had a tan, tickets to the gun show. He's a totally different looking man
He
now.
works out, I think.
It makes me
works out
wonder
blonde
hair.
if him and Jackman, maybe they just done it all with lookalikes this year.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Save them turning up.
yeah.
Like, you know, those Top of the Pops albums you used to get, there were the songs from the chart, but not done by the original artist.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
yes.
they've gone a bit like that.
I used to love those.
Apparently the internet was surprised at Calvin Harris's
The what?
Scottishness. The internet, the Twitterati, as I think they called them 5 years
They
ago.
were, yeah, people were surprised he was Scottish.
Yeah,
I haven't been paying attention.
I'm not
I
sure what
didn't
that
know.
is. I think it could be that he's kind of a superstar DJ. People see his fame as being kind of American, or it could be that he's tall and
dated them
handsome.
all.
I think that might be a weird thing that
I have
he
to
does.
say, I have to put a word in here for David Tennant.
David Tennant's another one.
Tall and handsome and Scott. There's lots of tall, handsome Scottish
Lots
people.
I
of-
agree.
Do you know
I think
what?
they're wrong, the Twitterati.
I've met some lovely Scottish people. Okay.
I'm one of them.
I know.
But-
Okay.
But I think that's why people were surprised.
Look, I'm currently reading the biography of Hugh McDermott. What else do you want?
Are you?
The man who wrote A Drunk Man Looks at the Thistle.
An unfortunate title.
Yeah, just
I,
trust me on that.
I ate shortbread. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all over them. All
I mean,
I'm
if they're surprised
saying.
at Calvin Harris's accent, wait till they meet Hardeep Singh Kohli. He's got a surprise
He has got
Scottish
Scottish
hasn't
accent,
he?
yeah,
Has
that's
he?
true.
He won. He's been nominated 16 times. Now, having been nominated and won a number of awards, Frank Skinner. Oh, have I got that wrong?
I was nominated.
How many nominations?
I
What's
think
the most
I was nominated
nominations?
for 11 comedy awards in 9 years and
That's-
didn't win any of them.
That's the
Right.
awkward thing I wanted to bring up. It would be best
Excellent
if you
work.
did it.
My losing face was absolutely immaculate.
And did you win on the 12th time?
I did win on the 12th time, but as I've said before on this show, my is a late review. My manager,
Wish you'd had that on the
my
night.
manager was on the judges panel that year, which I think helped.
Paid to be on.
Actually, he deserved.
So this was his 16th, or was his 17th nomination, and he
Okay.
finally won. But what he decided to do was he went big. I think that
did.
was a bit passive aggressive, because I think finally he'd won. He spent 80 grand on his show.
Yeah. Mainly on
His
backing dancers
money.
and animals, wasn't it?
His money. He paid for it. Well, as we know, someone should have told Bros, you're always paying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So he splashed out on it. He had a crab, a dragon.
he did.
Yeah.
Now that to me sounds like someone
100,
who's been
100
to.
dancers.
Isn't that someone who's been to the big prop shop and just picked what was there?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't- it's
I'll
a
have
bit-
that one.
A bit drunk.
I'll have
He was
all of it.
probably tipped off he'd won. He's getting stuff at short notice. What you got? What you got?
Yeah.
Well, we got a crab that's coming from the SpongeBob on ice.
We got the dragon.
We've got a dragon from the Pete's Dragon promo. That'll do. That'll fine. Bring them round.
We got the raining rose petals from the Florence and the Machine video,
Bring it on.
and the forest. I won't tell you where that's
Oh,
come from.
fine. I'll take them all.
That's how he talks.
Will you deliver them? What did you say? I said, will you deliver them? Who is this? Calvin Harris. Do you not recognise my voice? That's what happened on the phone there with Calvin Harris to the big prop shop. Just in case, little insight, little bit of background knowledge at the Britannias. Oh, you couldn't call them? No, I know.
Frank Skinner on the radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Dua Lipa's dad got a lot of talk on the World Wide Web, apparently.
Hashtag Silver Fox.
Yeah.
He was called.
Yeah.
Jack Whitehall called him the best-looking dad in the music industry, which is, a little unfair to Tim Healy.
Well, I think it's a bit...
Who's, come on, who's, as you know, is the father to
Excellent
one of the
reference.
1975, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is, that's true.
But come on.
In fact, it might have been at christening.
There you go.
Yeah. That's my connection with the Brits.
I think I remember you telling that.
Yeah.
One person said Dua Lipa's dad being thanked for just being there and being attractive was probs the funniest Jack has been tonight. But I think that might be unfair on Jack because most people didn't listen.
And also, there was a lot of stuff on the internet about how gorgeous Dua Lipa's dad was.
Oh, was there?
And I couldn't help thinking, it's all right when they say it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I thought about him. He did have something, but he looked a bit Jose Mourinho before he was broken.
I agree. Before the poison made him look
Before the Manchester
bitter.
experience, as it will be called hereafter. He looked like that, I thought.
very similar.
He, I don't think Dad should look like that. I have to say.
You do surprise me.
Dads.
I don't. Dad's...
Vested
There's
interest.
a certain thing that Dad... Well, I look too old for a dad, but I mean, I think a dad...
Oh.
If I see Dua Lipa's dad, I want it to look like a dad, not another... It could be a boyfriend.
Another rock star.
No, I want him to look like someone who's been a bit of a dad who sits down and watches the sport,
Right.
his track. I want
Perhaps
to
in a
sort of-
vest.
Let's say, you know El Chapo?
Yeah.
The Mexican drug lord. He looks
Yeah.
like a classic
Yes.
sort of dad. He
Yes.
could be Dua Lipa's dad. He's got a tash, little
Yeah.
bit of extra
Yeah.
poundage.
He has that.
What it should be, Frank, I think the way of telling is no one should mistake you for a couple if you're out with your daughter.
Exactly.
It's a good rule.
Okay? People have got to look at you and think there's a lovely father and daughter.
Although, how do they legislate for that if they're going out? Just like if Dua Lipa and her dad are just going to buy the paper at the local corner shop and maybe some milk.
Dua Lipa doesn't go and get
By the paper?
All right,
Of course
well-
she doesn't,
Do a
Al.
paper. Do you want to do a paper, Dua Lipa? Is Lipa a surname?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, I don't know. Is it?
Yes, it is,
'Cause
yeah.
there's another successful member of the family, Lingo, isn't there? Duolingo.
Because
Speaks a lot of foreign languages.
Dua Lipa, if we believe in nominative determination, she should have done a long jump or something.
Yeah.
So that's a letdown. It's the way I think, the whole concept of the yummy mummy. When I was at school, there weren't any.
I'll say.
When you got to the school gate, they all looked like Sir Elton John. And
Well, can I just say, I've got to be honest, in London that wasn't the case, I'm afraid.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
really?
they
They were
were
yummy.
they were
There
warm
was some
loving.
yummies,
They
but
were warm loving people, and that's more important than
well, you can be both, come on.
I think
You
Frank's right.
can't
There.
take that back.
Is what they
I think
told
there is a double
themselves.
standard though, because people are saying
They've
that
gotta
he's
have
the
something.
silver fox, and in years gone by when we discussed Harry Styles and there was a picture of him in the paper with his mum, and I said his mum's nice looking, I like the look of her, and people were like, oh, that's not right. You
Disgusting.
can't. Yeah, double standard.
No, I
Yeah,
believe because Harry Styles' mum. I think she's because I think she's an attractive woman. I would agree with you there.
100.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on.
Can I just say something to you? What I liked about Dua Lipa is that she's a bit of a git-s, Frank.
Is she?
Because she
Brilliant.
responded to Jack Whitehall's comment, can we swap dads? She paused and she said, no, yours is a bit mean.
Yeah.
No, I
That's
quite like
excellent.
that.
That
It's the sort of
sounds
thing
like-
Frank would say.
That's something a 12-year-old would say.
Mean.
I like the fact that she apparently ripped her name off her dressing room door because people well-wishers, as they call them. You know those people? Well-wishers. You'd think, if you heard the phrase well-wisher, my first thought would be someone throwing coins into a well and making a wish. But no.
Well-wisher?
No, they're people that come in and say, all right, dear, how's it? Of course you don't want,
show.
You don't want well-wishers in your dressing room.
Well, apparently the problem was her dressing room was located very near the artist's spa and sauna area.
Well, it would be.
Yeah.
Can I say, if I was to rip the name off my dressing room door at any venue I've ever played at, I would never find that dressing room again. I would be like the Phantom of the Opera, wandering around that place forever. So, I mean, fair play to her youth that she can remember where she was. I suppose she's led.
You would be like Jose Mourinho. You'd lost the dressing room.
Yeah, very...
Football joke.
Very
great,
fine joke.
Great joke.
He'll be back.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
There were a couple of wardrobe malfunctions at the Brits, boys.
Flacco.
Yeah, Caroline Flack took a lot of flack.
She had a shoe disaster.
Yeah.
Her shoe broke. It's happened to us all, dear.
Yes.
And her friends used gaffer tape.
Well,
what do we think of
did
this?
they? I've got... I don't want to sound like the DIY correspondent, which I'm not.
But it's
I'm
somewhat inevitable,
not.
I'm afraid.
Duct tape.
It says in the headline, Caroline Flack has her shoe gaffer taped on after footwear. And then in the article, it says the Love Island presenter 39 shared a comical video which showed her two friends using electrical tape to cement her... Well, which?
Is that somewhat different?
It's different. Electrical LX tape, as they call it.
Frank, he calls it LX tape.
That's not the same thing. It's not even that sticky, LX tape. It's more used to sort of seal like a bare wire, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yeah, whereas gaffer tape is very strong tape.
I'm afraid
hard to rip off
I
the
get
end,
people in.
You get people in?
Yeah, if there's anything like that.
I thought you were telling me you sell more tickets then.
Well, you certainly do.
I get people in.
You certainly do when you have the old gaffer tape. You get people in. I've heard. Make a few phone calls.
Yeah.
Well, Caroline, I mean, it is probably the least exciting wardrobe malfunction of all time.
A shoe broke.
Yeah,
I mean, we've all had the broken shoe.
I mean, it's not like when Janet Jackson's when her right breast turned up at the Super Bowl as a Wild West sheriff.
Goodness
I
me.
mean, who saw
that
That
coming?
was amazing. And of course, she was accused of staging that. Janet Jackson, if you remember. Whereas no one is saying to Caroline Flack, I bet that's a big publicity stunt.
The gaffer tape on the shoe.
No.
That old one. Well, we've all had it. I've told you I lost my shoe on Ramesses Revenge.
Did you?
With Boyzone when I ended up in a photo call with the band.
Wow.
And it fell off. I've told you that.
Great showbiz anecdote.
I went to a hoedown once and I'd forgot my leather waistcoat.
Okay.
So I had to secure my sheriff's badge to my nipple.
Did you?
So these things do happen.
And did you use a loop of sticky tape? Is that right?
No, I used
the pin.
I used an ice cube.
I didn't know he was around in your day. Frank?
Yeah.
What about Joe Swash? He lost his clothes on the motorway. Going home from the Brits, he was due to present Good Morning Britain the next day and managed to somehow lose his clothes. Was it the A12?
It was
Does that
the
sound
A12,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Al, I thought I'd check.
That's the bit of the story that I was most
I knew you'd
interested
like that.
So
Which roads does that connect, Al?
Oh, well, that's up towards the...
that was a hospital pass.
Okay, I had enough.
It's going out towards Essex, basically, isn't
I
it?
see, I knew he'd know vaguely.
It was a fair guess.
Frank.
Joe Swash's road home. It's going out towards
the
M1.
M1.
You don't say.
To go from one of your passionate subjects, motorways, to one of Frank's, which is people wearing suits with a T-shirt underneath because they look like Frank.
I do not like that.
They look like the Frankenstein monster. And I've got nothing against that. I like the Frankenstein monster's look.
But he really went for it because he had to borrow a suit jacket, Swash, from a colleague.
Yeah.
And he only had the vest underneath, so it was full Frankenstein monster.
Still look good. He looks. He's another bloke who's changed his appearance. I don't know how they do it.
All right. We'll tell you during a song if you want.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much. Is the idea...
Yeah.
Sorry, do we have to... I'm getting... Oh, yeah, I'll come back. I'll come with it. I'm getting such a look from
Why did he leave
producer.
the clothes on the car rack? Text in 81215.
Yes, yes, it was. It was things on... when you leave things on the roof, like the briefcase on the roof.
Not your
Like a
clothes.
cup of coffee
Well,
or whatever.
we'll come back to this.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're talking about Joe Swash.
You are.
I was, and his incident
Yeah.
on the A12.
So is the idea... Did he do that thing, like when you put your cup of coffee on you've just bought on the car roof, and then you get in the car and drive off, and the coffee... Is that what he did? He put his clothes on the roof?
Apparently
I
so.
believe so. But why? I don't think I'd ever put my clothes on the roof. Would you?
Well, there's a lot of dirt and that on the...
Car roof.
Yeah. I guess they were wrapped. They could have been wrapped. Presumably they were in a bag or something. They weren't just...
A suit carrier. He said he was apparently pleading with fans. That's a very tabloid phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Pleading with fans to locate the outfit, which is on the A12 somewhere. So perhaps we can help him with this appeal. I mean, as appeals go,
Yeah.
I've heard more soul-wrenching ones. But he says there was a lovely fitted jacket with a delicate pinstripe, grey with a tinge of navy blue. It has my name in the back of it.
Oh, he could have just
That has
said
to be a
that.
fib. Right.
No, because you would get it for the outfit. Because you was wearing it for the Brits, they have your name on it, don't they, for wardrobe, okay?
I don't know. I've never been on the Brits.
No, but I can see it would have had
my
the name.
Jerry Halliwell dress certainly
Frank Skinner in it.
had Frank Skinner on
Yeah.
it.
Just
think
in case Jerry put it on.
What
by
if I'd
accident.
gone on as Jerry Halliwell? Has it gone really well? And I was now doing a popular sitcom called Mrs. Halliwell's Boys, in which I played the older Jerry Halliwell
That
and
would've been fun.
and all that. Oh, these little turning points. So is Joe Swash driving up and down the A12 today trying to find his clothes? It's a tragic image.
Yes, I know. Well, I agree. It is a bit Alan Partridge, isn't it? I don't like the idea of him walking up and down the motorway.
No, that's an awful looking in hedgerow.
I still don't understand how he did it.
Maybe he's got a pair of
Don't get
shorts
it.
on because he's misjudged the weather a bit and he thinks it's full summer.
That's all he's got left.
And the vest. But I don't, I mean, look, the Frankenstein monster look is fine.
Well, he wore it well. He's in
It
good
worked for him.
shape. He's got a nice tan. I don't know if he's been away.
Well, here's the question. Did any of this happen?
What?
Has he got the
it's-
tan? He's got he wants to show it off, his décolletage.
Oh.
Oh.
And he's thinking,
He wants to be careful of telling fibs in the media these days. They've got really thorough on checking that.
So you think it's a vest justification hoax?
Yes. I'm just saying it could be.
Oh, maybe.
Could be, okay?
Wow, I never thought of that.
But if anyone finds the fitted jacket with delicate pinstripe grey with a tinge of navy blue, get in touch with the family Swash.
It's got a sticker on with his name.
The Swash
Yeah.
Solomons, they're
Yeah,
called.
the swash sticker.
Are they?
Look out for it. So if you see a jacket with a swash sticker on it, in Essex, phone the police is my advice.
There's only Frank who hasn't got his head in his hands in this room now.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Surely not. There must be some mistake.
I played a stupid game of chance this week. I was I was out on a dog walk with my family, the two junior cockerels and Mrs. Cockerel, and we took the football with us to just have a kickabout.
Yeah.
Because females play football too on dog walks.
No, they do. It's World Cup this year.
So we got to the goals bit and we were playing
What
and
did you use as posts, or is there a goal?
Goalposts, yeah.
Oh, goalposts. They're old. One.
yeah, we're quite trad like that. And my son had went to get the ball to collect it from behind the goal, and as he's running back, he kicked it out of his hands to sort of boot it onto the pitch, if you like.
Yeah.
And 1,000,000 to 1 chance it goes up in the air and hits the crossbar and bounces back, and he catches it in his hands again. Right? Like,
Nice.
incredible. And I, for a laugh, blurted out, "If you do that again, I'll give you 100 quid." And he did. Like,
Oh.
exactly the same thing again.
Wow.
Brutal.
Well, how far
I mean,
back is
absolutely
it?
brutal.
Brutal.
Probably about
It's brutal.
maybe 20, 25 feet, something like that.
Okay.
Just total fluke. There's no way that he's...
Well, he did it twice.
I mean, frankly, he's not that good at football that he can kick it
Don't get
against a
bitter.
bar from that
Don't
distance.
get bitter with him because you have to give him. Did you give him the 100 quid?
Yes, I've given him the
Wow.
£100.
£100.
All through the show, I've been thinking, what's wrong with Alun? He's pensive. He's preoccupied.
He's not been himself all morning.
No, he's
I've
been.
also put a bread knife through every football in the house as well, I'll tell you that for nothing.
Oh, and the whippet.
What are the
That's
chances?
so angry he was.
So,
Wow.
I mean, amazing.
that's a lot of money
Oh, man.
But wasn't
to
it-
any of us.
I
but
will
to
say
you,
this,
that will
though.
cause you physical pain.
We laughed our head off for about, well,
When you say we,
yeah, they
You
laughed
did.
their head off. I sobbed, but they laughed.
I
a lot.
imagine.
Did he march you to the cash point like they used
No,
to
he
do
was
when
very-
gentlemen
he
had
knew
left
that it was coming.
strip bars, I believe?
Well,
They were all laughing.
Cockerell
and
Jr. must have been as happy as he's ever been in his life.
Yes,
Can you
yeah.
imagine?
Ah.
Not only,
almost worth it for that.
I'd be happy to do
Almost.
just to do it twice is brilliant. But
Yes.
well, of course,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have been able to have enjoyed the moment. That's the
No, I
But the
found it.
joy of it.
Oh,
But
the
why
joy.
did that fall out of my face at that moment? Like, oh, if you can do that again, I'll give you. What a stupid thing to say.
Reckless.
And I've said some stupid things in my life, but that one's
Come on.
up there.
Come
Don't
on.
put yourself down.
That one's
No.
up there.
Well,
Wow.
but well done you for paying it. I know there would have been a dozen loopholes dancing around your mind, but no,
Yeah, I did try and create some small print, but
you came up with
£100 though, Al. I mean, you went high there.
I know.
Has he
but I
spent it
didn't
yet?
You
think-
started too high.
Yeah, he's bought some-
shares.
Yeah.
Shares in British Gas.
Put it in a mini cash ISA. No, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
okay. Yeah, like father.
Frank Skinner on the radio.
We've got some emails here.
Yes.
From weeks gone by, in
Well,
fact.
we used to do a feature called Email Corner. You may remember. And
yes.
When Sarah took over as the new producer, which was January, wasn't it? Yeah. I said, "What about new year, new producer, new beginnings?" I said,
Yeah.
"What about a new Email Corner jingle?" And so I just said,
Oh, she done one.
so I just said, "Have you got that email?" And she said, "Yeah, you might have to shout email." Well, I
nice.
didn't know it was going to be interactive.
What do you mean?
Let's have a listen.
So just before corner.
Yeah.
What does it say? Is he saying gardener?
Corner.
Been around the corner.
Okay.
I've been around my gardener.
Should we go again and say email?
That's my
Yeah,
business.
let's try it again.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. Email.
Email.
Email. Email. Email.
No.
Yes. Perfect.
I think
I
that
wonder
was
if,
really.
I'm too exhausted now to talk about any email.
I mean, the problem is coming in first. I just felt stiff with stress.
And
throughout
he's
that
also
whole
he's
experience.
saying something as well. You know, we're crashing him.
That's
The thing
fine.
is, if we'd have been following him, I think the call and answer conceit has survived for a reason.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
I think for that we'd have to find a song where someone was singing the word email and then we could shout the word corner.
Yeah.
It may
Anyone
be
knows
harder
any
to do.
songs?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe harder to do, but
Hang on. Oh, I thought I could think of one just now.
we'll think.
Okay.
Well, the wind may have gone from the sails of this missive.
No.
Hello, Frank, Divine, Miss M and Alan. I'm writing this email to ask whatever happened to Email Corner. See what I
Oh.
did there? I haven't heard any of the Email Corner jingles for a while now, and I wondered if you'd lost them. Praise redacted as per your terms and conditions.
Well, I think
Dave
we'll all
Vaughan.
agree it was worth the wait, Dave, for that jingle.
We're back in business, pal.
Yeah.
But you know, yes. I mean,
I mean, that,
Yeah,
was,
yeah, I
that
don't know
must
what
have
to
been
say.
terrible to
yeah.
listen
Well, I
to.
think we should bring it back, Email Corner.
Yeah,
I
let's
think
do
it had a thing about it.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner on the radio.
I'm still in email.
Corner. Yeah.
Can we remain here temporarily? This is from Paul. He says, Dear Frank, Emily and Alan, from my little apartment in New York, listening to your weekly podcast.
Goodness.
Oh, that sounds so
New
glamorous.
York.
He sounded so plaintive.
What was it? It combined 3 popular songs about New York, but it didn't interfere with the melody of any of them.
Decision problems. So I thought I'll just have a crack at all.
It's great for clearance.
It was
that,
a bit of
because
Jay-Z.
no one could prove that was their song.
It was neither Jay-Z nor Frank Sinatra nor Gerard Kenny.
No,
Taking it.
or a Taylor Swift.
No, or
Let's have a remix.
Welcome to New York.
It sounded like somebody's last words. Anyway, he's in New York. I like it. I like the sound of this Paul. He sounds a bit hero in a rom-com.
I like Paul in an apartment.
It's Hugh Grant in a rom-com. Anyway, he continues. Listening to your weekly podcast, I, for no other reason than that of posterity, want to point out a correzione. You got that jingle? It's what you changed that to this week.
Correzione, ole, ole, ole. We're back with the jingles.
In a typically niche segment, he's gone a bit review-based, about famous monocle wearers, you, Frank, referred to Richard Tauber as being German. He was, I'm afraid, actually Austrian. I feel somewhat churlish for even pointing this out, not least given the splendid rendition of Tauber you then went on to give Tauber. I'm sorry. However, I feel as a fellow Brummie, living in New York, he's done well, you will forgive me. OK, this is from Paul. Yours in obedience, although not in the S&M context.
Well, yes. So, Richard Tauber. You're my heart's delight. As we said, was a famous monocle. Was he famous in 1940?
Yes.
Speaking of which, he was alive during World War II, so there would have been a time when he was German. Because of the annexing of Austria. I think that's correct. If there's any historians that gets that
You know
wrong.
it's Star Wars.
We do have historians that occasionally contact the show.
Yes, but you might have to email us, and we'll read that next week's email corner. I saw a picture of. This is that we must close soon, but I saw a picture of Richard Tauber.
Oh yeah.
And he was wearing what about this for a level of self-confidence? He was wearing a monocle with no string.
Wow.
Like seeing trapeze without the safety net. I mean, so confident that he had the squint. He must have had a squint of iron.
Yeah.
That he felt there was no need for a support.
The squint could be maintained at all times.
That's some real facial musculature going there, isn't
brilliant.
it?
Which does suggest there was some Germanness in him, that level of confidence. Yeah. Whereas the Austrians are more poetical, I always think. Anyway, there we have it for another week. Email Corner is back.
Martin Gardner, just to close us, says Email Corner needs a rethink.
Yes.
OK, sorry, Sarah.
Did he email that?
Yes, he did.
OK, good lad. Good lad. OK, so anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
Get your weekly Frank fix. Listen to the show as it happens on Saturday morning from 8 until 11 with more music and fewer ads with the Absolute Radio app.